mean, if they're really going to prioritize Xerath that highly, just ban it. Just ban it.
I'll tell you what's going to happen here in this game. SK Telecom's going to first pick Xerath. Then they're not going to ban. Oh, I was going to say they're not going to ban Fizz, but they already did that. I was expecting the blind pick Xerath into Bliss's Fizz. That was going to be my official prediction for this game. But luckily, it looks like it's not going to happen. At least all of it's not going to happen.
LeBlanc is banned out.
Yep.
Of course, Faker has a 100% professional win rate on that champion, so just something you never, ever, ever really want to give him.
Yeah, the Rumble ban against Marin, too, a pretty common ban against him up in the top lane. And there's a Lulu ban against Samsung. Rek'Sai as well banned against Eve. Eve has tried that champion many times. And there's the Lissandra ban. So Marin's still available, but I do like this first pick Janna if they're going to go with that. It does leave the Narvin combo up, but Kuve not really a big threat on that champion so far, so I don't think SKT is too worried about it.
Plus, if you can take the Janna for the disengage, that does give you some breathing room against Narvin. I think that is the better choice in this particular scenario. Of course, the Corki's still up as well. And what will Samsung pick up right here? Of course, you can play that Aurelia into the Gnar if you are so inclined. And I think the Corki takeaway is really important. More important than getting Narvin at the moment. And they could take the Morgana, of course, that champion that could be flexed from the mid lane to the support position if necessary. And we usually see that as a ban. Now, picking Morgana this early is a little bit interesting because probably SK Telecom not going to select that champion with Janna. We haven't really seen Faker put a priority, or Marin. I mean, Trey's still the only top laner willing to take that Morgana up into the top side. Early Ezreal lock-in.
I've got a feeling that Ezreal's going to the mid lane. We've seen what Faker can do on that champion in the past. It is a flex pick, but I would bet good wand on that, Monty, that would be going mid.
Well, it's also a reaction to the Morgana pickup because the Black Shield really going to do nothing against a mid lane Ezreal, so hoping to get some harassment and some kill pressure.
Yep.
Early on, we'll see if Faker does take cleanse, but they'll wait. I mean, getting that early flex is very helpful. Of course, Bang will be able to play that as well. They're going to take away the Jarvan.
Okay.
And so SK Telecom, a team that has put a lot of priority on double AD compositions so far this season.
I think the Jarvan takeaway, too, is really good. It is one of Eve's better champions, and it gives Bengi something kind of nice and relatively safe to use.
I think that choosing support here is a bit risky, because then you show your hand a little bit. You say that you are definitely going to be playing that mid lane Morgana Kassadin. I think a much better take.
Yep, because we don't know where it's going to go.
You still will have trouble versus that mid lane Ezreal, and they could take something very safe indeed, like a Zir.
And what will that Rammus turn into for the lock-in? We are in 5.1. Okay, you're going to go with that Lee Sin, and they do go with the Thresh after all. Okay, so that does pretty much tell SK Telecom where that Morgana is going to end up.
Unless Kuve has learned how to play this champion and is trying to follow in Trace's footsteps. So there still is a bit of a risk of that, I suppose. Of course, Morgana not the most difficult champion to learn how to play.
Okay, we may see SKT end up with the Narvin combo. Marin may be wanting to give that one a try again.
Well, if SKT ends up with Janna, Gnar, and Jarvan, I have to say it, Samsung's in big trouble.
I really like this Caitlyn pickup actually as well.
I think it's great. Fast pushing.
Great pushing lane.
You don't
very
need the
safe.
You don't need the engage here because you from the Sivir, because they don't have a Janna, and their disengage isn't really going to push you away or shut you down. Certainly they have the soul shackles in the box.
Yeah.
But Maokai.
Oh, well, that works too. That's perfectly fine.
Interesting.
It's fine, not perfectly fine.
I mean, it's okay, but I think that taking the Gnar away there is a stronger champion pick.
Yeah. Well, you don't want your Caitlyn to get caught by a Gnar, but again, I really don't think SK Telecom has a lot to be worried about if Samsung goes with that Gnar pickup. Kuve just not seeming like a real threat on that one.
Well, the one thing that's great about the Maokai grab is that he's going to mitigate so much of the AoE damage coming from Samsung, and Samsung running with a really low damage composition in the late game. Of course, Morgana just not outputting very much.
Well, we want them to focus on the early game, I suppose, so that they are doing it. It's not really quite as pick heavy, but
Ooh,
does have
top
its
lane
spike.
Rengar, do it, buddy.
Or top lane Lee Sin.
Top lane Rengar is very high damage right now, and that could cause some problems for Maokai. For that early armor penetration you get with a Brutalizer, top lane Rengar will be
All right.
for this Samsung roster. So they're going really hard into the early game.
Wow, yeah. Well, I like this. And this is another champion that we haven't seen Cuvée on yet. You know, we know he's got to have some good champions in there somewhere.
He played Aurelia actually quite well the other day. So, and his Jace, we've seen that do well in the past. So I think just Cuvée, you can get him on some of these top lane carries, could be a little bit more of a threat. Certainly that's going to be difficult for Marin to deal with in the laning phase, but Samsung has to get a big lead early, because if you start building Rengar for damage, even if you're building him tanky, he still dies very quickly in the late game. He's not a late game champion in the jungle, in the top lane, wherever you put him. And with basically the Janna in team fights, if he tries to leap in from on the hunt, he is going to get blown back and then CC'd pretty easily by Marin and just obliterated by focus fire from Faker and Bang.
I've got a feeling Bengi and Eve are going to be spending a lot of time up in top lane 3-6.
Yeah, this is definitely an attempt to bully this lane and to create a massive snowball where Rengar will be able to power up in the mid game and assassinate a lot of these other champions.
Yeah. Well, Samsung at least trying to play to their strengths. SK Telecom with finally a really, really good draft. Really good team. We'll see who can take it. SK Telecom versus Samsung. Let's get in the game. You know what they should have done at the end of that intro? They should have had just like lasers come out of his eyes and just like burn one of the feathers to ash. That would have been sick. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, guys. SK Telecom versus Samsung Galaxy.
You know, Doa, I think SK Telecom picked up the Maokai just so they could have some magic damage in the late game.
Oh, okay.
So just varying the damage types a little bit, because otherwise, with the Jarvan as well, you may find yourself a little bit stifled if they build too much armor and it goes late.
It is a bit one-dimensional, isn't it? All right. Well, pretty normal fan early on.
Nothing weird so far, and nothing weird here about SK Telecom champion selection either. Yeah. Going again for a double AD that has been a staple of SKT and CJ's pick and ban phases and has worked out pretty well for both organizations. In this season, Bliss lurking in the river on champion that he's been most successful with, I would say, this season. Okay, so Marin, if you're a Maokai player, by the way, this is a good little trick that you can do. What you do is you start sapling, and at 1 minute 20 seconds, you start stacking saplings inside the Raptor pit. You get 3 in there, and then you walk into lane, and they will explode and kill all the little small raptors and give you a really nice advantage, actually, in terms of XP in lane.
Yeah, very
and not only that, it actually, as weird as it sounds, does help out some junglers as well. Because,
he misplaced one of his saplings.
Yeah.
Oops.
But,
well, it's still a little bit of a boost.
Those little raptors attack very quickly and do 20 damage apiece early in the game. So as a jungler, they don't give you a lot of experience, but they can really prevent you from clearing another camp due to their high damage output. So by doing that, you can actually help low sustained junglers clear another camp before recalling, as weird as that sounds. So it's actually quite good in that regard, and can be helpful for the jungler as well. Now, if you're playing something like Rek'Sai, where you have high sustain, it doesn't really make a bit of a difference, but Jarvan not quite as sustained. Yeah, this is really dangerous, actually, for Marin.
Look at what Cuvée is doing to Marin here.
Good patience, though. Marin actually just autoing minions to get the level 2, using the Arcane Smash to keep him in the caster minions right there, and Cuvée already burning his only pot, starting with the Doran's shield. So Level 2 gank coming in from Eve, however.
Yeah, we thought this was probably going to happen. Marin may be in a little bit of trouble here. He's going to have to burn one summoner. There's the flash. Can they get him? Eve flashing as well. It's going to be first blood, and it will go to Kuve. Samsung really needed that one.
I really don't know what Marin thought was going to happen right there.
Really.
You have to be ready for that kind of play when Kuve's kind of going all in right here, and you know that he's playing such a snowbally champion. He's not going to lose really any gold or experience, but that first blood, especially because Kuve actually managed to pick it up, is going to be quite huge. He also still has his flash down for Marin.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, I said it going into this. You know, I said both junglers probably going to be spending a lot of time up there pre-6, but Marin, you know, not warded, not really being safe, and he paid for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he was thinking. We'll have to see how he recovers from it, or if he can. Kuve going back for a health crystal. Looks like he's actually going to be potentially building tanky. I would assume this is going to turn into a Kindle Gem just for more spamming of abilities in lane.
No, man, he's going for haunting, guys. AP Rengar is back.
Oh, those were the days, Noah. Those were the days. Infinite sustain.
The roar with power.
Mock Noon, destroying everybody.
Yeah, oh man, those are some exciting games. Dirty farming inside the base, like pre-15 minutes. In the enemy base, I should say.
Yeah, that was
something else.
That was something else.
Oh man.
All right, so Bengi getting some deep wards in early on. This is kind of risky. I disagree with Bengi's decision to walk in there. Both his mid lane and his top lane were pushed in. It's very dangerous for him to do that.
Yeah, he kind of walked up to a bush and then was like, wait a second, I don't want to walk into a bush in the enemy jungle where I only have one ward down.
The problem with Kuve, though, is he's not farming. He is just harassing onto Marin. He's got his ferocity all stacked up right now, not going to go in.
You know, that's a good point, actually. He's counting 15 CS already. That's a bit odd. Huh.
Well, he doesn't want to walk. He keeps getting hurt every time he walks next to Maokai to farm. Marin playing at the very front of the minion wave.
It does happen. I mean, that is kind of one of the problems of pushing that lane up against Maokai as Rengar, but should get a little bit of farm here. We'll see how we can do under turret. He has a chance to catch up in quite a bit of that CS.
Yeah, he does. Still some Arcane Smash harass coming down, though.
Oh, yeah.
Faker trying to find an angle onto Bliss. Bliss not letting him go and keeps pushing it in, so Faker doesn't have a lot of that wave clear early on.
Yeah. Looks like Bengi's ward was cleared out fairly quickly by Eve. Think that was worth a pink ward? Bring that up there.
I mean, usually that ward does become very gold efficient because of how long it can stay up.
Not this time.
Marin is seen backing in lane, playing a bit more cautiously now. Bengi is going to get into the first brush, but ward in the second brush.
Yeah, I think that ward, I don't know if it has just enough vision. That probably doesn't actually, does it? Oh, Kuve. See if he jumps out at Marin again. Bengi's going to have to hit this one just right. A little bit of damage on the Kuve. And Twisted Advance going in. A little bit of miscommunication there. Bengi not expecting Marin to go in. And if they would have been on the same page, that could have been a kill or at least a flash burn. But yeah, SKT looking a bit out of sync.
Yeah, Bengi right there. Not really on board with Marin's Arcane Smash and Twisted Advance. Very late walking into the lane, and now they know where Bengi is as well. Faking the Lantern gank right there just to provide some pressure and give Corky some farm. Cute move.
That's always a fun thing to do in solo queue too. You just toss your Lantern in a brush and everybody just backs off.
So they will get the wave pushing back in their direction. Pretty even farm so far.
Yep, Bliss going toe-to-toe with Faker. Only a little bit behind right now, but not a big issue. And perhaps signaling that there's no wards in that river brush, so maybe Eve can try for an angle there. But it's pretty hard to gank against an Ezreal. Wraith just not giving up with that fake there. Bengi coming in, though. And will Wraith become the boy who cried gank? SKT just won't believe it.
Yeah, but you know what happens. If he does it enough time, then they start playing confidently, and then...
I know. Then Eve is there.
And then Eve is there.
Yep. It's actually like the boy who cried wolf, only it works out better for the boy in the end.
The boy actually wins the mind game.
That's right.
Bengi Still in this bottom side. Wave not pushing up, though. They do throw a ward in there.
I don't think Bengi's going to get an opportunity here either. He's been spending a lot of time sitting in lanes. He's waiting for Eve to come in. But, I mean, they're trying to counterplay the mind games from Samsung, I suppose. But so far, Samsung winning those mind games.
Wow, Kuve actually going for the... well, Bliss gets found out by the True Shot Barrage. Going for the cowl first, that's a bit of a surprise. I mean, the thing about building this Rengar this way, yes, he has been harassed off the front of the wave by Marin. I think Marin is actually playing this really well after giving up that first blood. But tanky Rengar isn't a thing that is going to get you a victory in this game, because you need to have that damage in order to ambush people before SK Telecom starts grouping up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he's just a really ineffective tank. Doesn't have a whole lot of crowd control, doesn't bring a lot of peel, has okay engage, but not anywhere near as good as Maokai. So in effect, he's just going to be a less effective Maokai in this game. And I'm pretty sure that isn't going to work for Samsung, because then they're just going to have no damage late.
Well, again, you know, Samsung relies so much on getting a big advantage early to get any sort of win. And, you know, they got the first blood, but they haven't really done much of anything else since then. And they kind of need to get something going like now.
And the way Marin's playing it, too, makes it so it's very difficult for Kuve to farm without taking any damage. And when he's chunked out, not so easy for Eve to come up to the top side and give him a hand to get a kill. Marin going for Frozen Heart first.
All right.
It would appear, or at least getting Shroud, and then he may build Rod afterwards with that Ruby Crystal. We'll see what he does. Quick check. Onto the Dragon, not taken. Bliss just going and getting that blue buff instead.
Actually, Samsung going for the Dragon now, but there's a... No, they're not actually. They were just checking out the pit, I suppose.
Not going to be a particularly viable option. Faker changing up his build right now, actually. Almost always goes in the mid lane, tier into Trinity Force.
Yeah.
This game going for the earlier pickaxe. Since I think he just wants to farm up right now, the earlier Manamune will help him actually get the Muramana faster and scale up. So he's obviously very comfortable just sitting in the mid lane, farming, and trying to increase the speed of the Muramana power spike.
Eve way deep in enemy lines here. He's going to find that pink ward, but the pink ward's going to find him. It's like, Eve, do you notice there's a pink ward there?
Okay, Bengi coming up top. This is a very dangerous situation. Faker takes a chunk out of him.
He wants that assist. Kuve pops the ultimate. Can he get away? Looks like he should be able to. And that's going to be a Dragon for Samsung after they spot Bengi up there.
And gets out scot-free.
Yep.
Thanks to Thrill of the Hunt.
Can SKT stop this?
No.
Doesn't look like it. No. All right, well, first Dragon does go to Samsung.
I mean, Bengi, I feel, could have stayed in the top side and at least got some damage or tried to push down the turret.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, too, because if he would have just kind of moved into lane as Kuve was backing off, you know, maybe he would have seen him, maybe he would have been able to get a lucky knockup or something, and then, like you said, got more damage on the turret. Bengi just playing really kind of bizarrely passive this game.
He's also showing himself at really weird times. It's like, for example, in that topside gank, if you miss the timing from the Maokai CC, that's okay, but don't show where you are afterwards.
Yeah.
That gives the other team way too much information. And that gank, not really too likely to succeed either. I thought he for sure would get in there and start autoing the turret, but backs off. Perhaps Marin, close dodge on the Dark Bind. Perhaps Marin wants Kuve to stick around and not give him any possible free farm at the tier 2 tower.
Could be.
The longer this laning phase goes on, really the better it is for SK Telecom. They have wave clear. They are going to outscale Samsung's composition. Kuve's not going to be doing damage with this Spirit Visage first.
Yeah, they're in no rush, really.
And from that point on, it's all about just itemizing for MR, because Bliss and Fury is going to be most of the damage they will output in the mid game.
Yep.
And they're not going to have damage late. Marin should be absolutely fine. Marin got CS edge already. Kuve really tough time against this Maokai. More true shot barrages. I mean, look how often Faker is throwing these out.
And this is great, too. He's just using it every cooldown, just finding somewhere on the map that he can clear minions, check a buff, do a little bit more damage for poke. It's awesome.
I love the way he's using it this game.
Yeah.
And because he has that tier, he's able to get that cooldown lower by hitting his Qs constantly in lane. And it's helping chip the towers. You'll notice that he's trying to poke people out of the lane. He's trying to clear out or deal some damage at least to the minion waves to allow his laners to keep pushing forward. So they've got all of the control over the minion wave. I have never seen mid lane Ezreal played like this before, just true shot barrage every single cooldown. It's very interesting to see, but it's giving SK Telecom a lot of good control over the pace of this game and allowing them to maintain their tempo here.
It's kind of interesting. He's using it, I suppose, a little bit similarly to how we would see like a Zigzag used back in the day.
Well,
Just,
I
for
mean,
more lane control, you know?
Right, but you wouldn't see it every time it's
much longer cooldown,
in the laning phase like this, especially when there are people still in the lane. That's the real interesting thing about what Faker's doing, is that he's using it when his teammates are still in the lane.
Yeah.
Getting quite bit different.
Getting a decent CS lead as well against Bliss, up to about 20 at the moment.
Yeah, which is surprising in and of itself, given Morgana's ability to clear waves quite quickly with Tormented Soil.
Yeah.
So he will be getting that Manamune right away. What's he doing right now?
He
was waiting for an item. Okay, so figuring out his build, he will be going to Trinity Force next.
He was AFKing. He's tired of this game.
And right here, too, early Zerker Greaves for Bang. So that's when you typically on Caitlyn, when you buy an early tier 2 boot, you're basically trying to auto towers. This is for fast pushing. This is what you do when you want to fast push.
Yeah.
Get some of those outer turrets down and punish the enemy team for not being there to protect their towers. Here he doesn't quite have that Trinity Force yet. Of course, Bliss will be going for the majority damage AD on SK Telecom's team for that fast Zonya's Hourglass.
Dragon back up in about 2 minutes now. And we can already see Samsung milling about, looking at the vision just a bit. And yeah, like we talked about earlier, Marin just poking that tower down a little bit. And here comes Bengi. Marin pops the ultimate. Kube, he's going to pop his as well. There's a twisted advance. There's a knockup. Kube in a lot of trouble, and there's a kill for Marin. Certainly something that SKT is pretty happy about. Faker escapes a possible gank in mid lane, kills the minions. Kills millions. That sounds like something Faker would do, I guess. Not a wrong statement.
Faker, the genocidal maniac.
Faker loses his towers in response. Kills millions.
Well, look at the side lanes, though. One tower falls in top. Nobody to defend the bottom lane. Bang using that extra attack speed off the Greaves to nearly take out the bottom lane turret. And that's going to be a nice win for Samsung. They trade 1 for effectively 2. They get the kill onto Marin in the top side, and with that, he will acquire his Rod of Ages, get that stacking. And with all of these stacking items, the tier on Ezreal, the Rod of Ages, it's putting this game on a timer for Samsung. And I just really don't like what Kube did with his build this game. I know he had to get the CS, but get that first blood, change it into damage, and every time your ult is up, try and roam out of topside and get a kill in one of the lanes. There's not really an excuse either, because there is hard CC in both of Samsung's other lanes. In fact, Eve can hold top as best as he is able, but if Rengar lands a bola on his ult, there's a Thresh Hook or there's a bind coming in immediately after that. I think Kube really hasn't used this Rengar to the degree that it could have been.
Yeah. Well, he's using it to run away from Marin right now. Marin getting pretty tanky, pretty big, and doing decent damage with that Rod of Ages as well. Wow, Kube getting really low, sustaining a bit with his W, but he's going to have to run. Ultras advance coming in. This is quite the duel, actually, in the top lane.
Marin is going to have to back off right there. SK Telecom will go ahead and take the dragon.
Yep.
No chance for a TP.
Oh, grab onto Faker. Wraith going in. There's a box as well. Faker just not touching the walls. Wraith has to get out. Bengi actually goes down. 2 kills for Samsung already. Peekaboo on the run. Faker is going to try to maybe snipe out Wraith here. Misses with the Q, and another kill for Eve. They got the dragon, but they lost 3 people. They may lose 4. Marin, can he win this fight against Kube?
Well, he's in the minion wave right now, so it does make it a little dicey. Gets the W.
Yep.
the empowered W off though, so he does get a little health. Marin realizing it's time to get out and will head back. SK Telecom, a little bit dangerous right there. They were fighting down in terms of items. Bang had, I believe, had not gotten back for his Infinity Edge yet, so
I believe you're right.
They were fighting in a Corki power spike right there. And we see Faker get hooked early on, and that's going to prompt the engage. Bang trying to do what he can. Ooh, he tried to double up.
Nice kick.
Yeah, great kick. Bliss there with all that crowd control. He's got that needlessly large rod already, so doing quite a bit of damage. They fought in Samsung's power spike, and they paid for it. Also, Bang not having optimal damage. He tried for the Peacemaker to hit 2. Good idea, but somebody flashed out, and so he only hit 1. Could have been doing more with autos right there.
Yeah.
Onto Eve, for sure. I think he got a little bit greedy.
Well, that was a really nice play by Wraith to lock up both Faker and Bang in that box, and then Eve with a great kick on the Bang. And that just shows you right there, just the team fighting potential that Samsung has. Mechanically, these three are very good. Bengi locks up Bliss a bit in the Cataclysm. Faker comes in. Can they hand him a kill? There's the Zonius. Kube and Eve are there. Wraith is there as well. Oh, he gets out on the Lantern. And there's the kill on the Peekaboo. Suddenly the melee turns in Samsung's favor. Faker on the run. Marin in a little bit of trouble as well. Bengi has to flag and drag over the wall to get away. Eve going down. There's a kill for Marin finally in SKT's favor. And SKT turns it around at the end. Can they get anything out of this coming out of it?
Well, they get a turret already. Bang
Faker
here.
tries.
Here comes.
Ace in the hole blocked by Kube.
Yeah,
very nice.
But they're probably going to get this tower as well. Faker now with the Sheen, of course, coming in. And so they are just racing through this tower. So trade 1 for 1. But then they get 2 towers out of it. 1 in bottom and then taking the 1 in mid as well. So it's a big gold swing as SK Telecom starts digging themselves out of this hole.
You know, between that and getting that last dragon, it basically caught them up. But let's take a look at this fight again.
Yeah, Bliss does delay long enough. Peekaboo dodges the Lee Sin Q, but then gets found by Kube for the kill. Coming in off of the Rengar ultimate. Faker gets locked down by the Bola in the back line, but they do kite very nicely. And this is the problem right now. Marin just getting way too huge. Already has that Glacial Shroud, so he's got some armor.
Yeah.
And they can turn it around.
When you see Faker kind of like fight his way back out of that one and then still do so much damage too, you kind of think, oh boy, what's going to happen 10 minutes from now?
Well, and these are scaling items, right?
Yeah, he's only going to get stronger.
Yeah, he's only going to get stronger. Marin, I think this is great. Don't complete the Glacial Shroud. Go ahead and go for the MR now. Gets the Cowl instead. He can wait on the Frozen Heart.
I agree. Well, Bengi baiting Wraith a little bit. Marin running in. They did take that blue buff. Can Faker and Bang do anything about this?
Faker's really close to his Muramana right now, too.
Should be, yeah.
And he also, oh man, he barely didn't have enough gold to buy Trinity Force after the Zeal. That is...
What is this? A 21-minute Baron.
Okay.
Now, Baron is a little bit weaker. This is a patch 5.1, but still, this is so early, and it looks like they may be able to sneak this. Faker checks it. Eve getting really low.
Yeah,
they get the Baron.
Live is the question.
That's true. Marin coming in, already taking one down, doing a lot of damage. Such a tanky champion already. Bang, though, walks right into the thresh wall. Faker firing the Q, misses, hits with his W, but Kube gets out. So Samsung only losing Wraith so far with that Baron. Not too bad.
No, actually really good for Samsung, actually, because now they'll be able to hold their lanes a lot better. But I still think this is a bit of an inevitability right now. Faker checking the Baron with his True Shot Barrage, perhaps a little late, not seeing anybody on the map.
Well, if that had been a little bit sooner, that would have been a slaughter in favor of Samsung, or in favor of SK Telecom, rather.
Yeah, it could have been quite ugly indeed. They did have, a few disengage tools in the box and with Soul Shackles, but still probably a pretty dire situation. But in spite of that Baron, SK Telecom still going to be quite strong as this game goes on. And I don't really see a way for Samsung to push this advantage unless they get caught out.
Yep.
And Marin has been doing quite well so far this game, actually. He really saved them in that last fight.
Yep, has his Merc Treads now as well, too. So some of that CC isn't going to be as much of a problem. Bliss is just going to push up the bottom lane, it looks like. But yeah, SK Telecom, and they may be down in gold, and they may have, let Samsung get that Baron, but they certainly, you know, if you look at the way the fights are going, if you look at the way the lanes are going, it certainly doesn't seem like Samsung's behind at all. They've got that scaling.
Yeah, if Samsung also hadn't made, or I mean, if SK Telecom hadn't made quite so many, I think, overbold plays in the early game, their team fighting looking a little shaky this game as well. Samsung skirmishing nicely though so far.
Yeah, good as always. Bengi just looking a little bit out of sync with the rest of the team on Jarvan, but that's kind of been the story of SKT for a little while now.
Yeah, Bengi seems to be in a little bit of a slump at the moment.
Agree. Yep.
And now Bengi controlling the perimeter. Are they actually going to fight this? There's no reason really for them to fight this dragon right now. Bang actually gets caught out by a dark binding.
Wow, that was a lot of damage.
Big time chunks.
Oh, speaking of chunks, saw the ace in the hole not doing anything because of the black shield, or rather the Zonia's Bliss getting out of that one, and another dragon going to Samsung.
Not really a big deal. Just give it to them right now while they have the Baron buff.
Oh, bang. That's a dangerous place to recall. He gets out, but Kube jumps on Bengi in the back lines. Samsung is there. Goodbye, Bengi. Goodbye. It's been nice knowing you. Where's Jarvan the Fifth? We're going to need him now.
Calling up for the ranks. Hopefully Jarvan the Fourth had his son already.
Oh, we'll see. Oh, trying to save that tier 2 mid turret, not really working. Whoa, Wraith goes for a ride, gets pushed back into the turret.
Faker
that
actually,
just happened.
Faker cleansed the chain right there.
Yeah.
And so
still managed
Wraith
to drag him back.
Well, you could cleanse this chain, but you could still reactivate it.
Yeah.
So he reactivated it, and then ended up Peekaboo with the fast flash ultimate to push Wraith into the turret and help pick up a kill for Faker.
That was a nice play.
It was quite humorous.
Hey, Kube getting jumped on by Mara now. Rengar.
World of tanks.
Let's just try. Yeah. Well, at least there's no stalemates in this game.
So, not really a big deal for SK Telecom. Again, it's not really particularly relevant that they are down a couple thousand gold at this juncture.
Yeah.
I should be quite confident heading into the late game in any event. Bang actually going for that Phantom Dancer, buffs the Phantom Dancer.
Yeah.
In this patch.
A little bit more crit on the Phantom Dancer, a little bit less crit on the Infinity Edge.
Yeah, so you're basically just playing to get Eye Edge back to where it was.
Yeah. And again, you still have decent pushing power with Caitlyn anyway. You know, you don't necessarily need that static shift.
Oh, they have great wave clear. They've got Ezreal too, so there's not as big of an emphasis on static shift this game.
Oh, hi, Kube. Yeah.
Bengi just goes ahead, takes the red buff with his buddy Marin. And now we'll just back off.
Yep.
So,
well, Bang made one major mistake this game. He's using the Policewoman Caitlyn skin instead of the Safari Caitlyn skin, which is clearly the superior one.
How about Arctic Warfare Caitlyn?
I'm not a big fan of that one. I like Safari. She's got the big elephant gun. That's cool.
You think elephant guns are cool?
I think they are made for slaying tanks. Marin gets grabbed. Oh no.
So they will secure that blue buff. It does go over to Bengi, however. Fury and Kube trying to push their advantage right here, but all the wave clear coming in. Marin.
Oh, they grab Marin. They may not want that, though. Knockups come through. Don't hit anybody. Marin going in. Gets pushed back. Ace in the hole. There's a kill for Faker. On the Fury. Bliss in a lot of trouble. Nice Cataclysm from Bengi. There's a Zonia's, but there's a heal from Peekaboo. Has to disable it early, though, and Kube manages to pick up a kill. That's all he's going to get, though, as Faker gets a double. A double, though, for Kube, but in the end, I think it's going to be another one for SK Telecom. Look at this. Eve comes in to try for the execute, but Faker manages to make it out. There's a double for Bang. 3 double kills in that fight, but Faker with the plays. Things Faker does, man.
I just can't believe his reaction time off of that Q in order to flash out to the safety of the turret and make it impossible for Eve to follow up right there. And they'll get a tower out of it as well, so this is where things start to go downhill for Samsung.
Just the presence of mind of Faker as well, too, to get out, go back, and then immediately true shot barrage that minion wave.
Yeah, watch Faker in this team fight. Does need a dark binding early, but the engage of his team is quite good. Faker and Bliss on the same target, or Faker and Bang on the same target. See the disengage coming in right there. Peekaboo does get rooted and killed. Faker again with another binding. tries to come. Oh.
Well, there's another fight.
Okay,
Oh,
Baron just going to kill everybody. Bang already dead up in that top side, but
and all Kuve can do is watch and cry his lion person tears. Ooh. The tears of a lion person.
more valuable than gold.
So if Rengar is like trying to surreptitiously find information about somebody else, does that make him Snoop Lion?
No, that was when Snoop used to play Rengar in the jungle.
Oh, okay. I like that better. That's a good point. The Snoop Lion.
Well,
May it live again someday.
Frozen Heart, Spirit Visage done. Marin is massive right now. Probably unkillable at this point in a 5v5 by Samsung, unless they blow absolutely everybody cooldown on him, and then the cleanup from SK Telecom will come in. So SKT in a very comfortable position, looking to fight this next dragon, of course.
You know how sometimes in like those fighting animes or like kung fu movies or something, like the pupil or like the person that comes after has to like channel the power of his ancestors or his teachers or something? Like Samsung needs like an extra button that they like hit it in team fights and suddenly like Imp and like Deft just like pop up in the clouds above them, and then like they gain this great power for a couple seconds. Like Mata just waves his hands and all the enemy wards just disappear.
There you go. Well, if only they had that. They could call upon the team fighting prowess of Samsung Blue, but
Home disappears and just roars into the sky.
here we go. Teleport flank. Home guards coming in. Marin from the rear.
A little bit of damage on the Wraith here. Bengi a little bit caught up, but here comes Peekaboo. There's the ult from Marin to lock people up. They do get the kill onto Bengi, but Marin is in the thick of things now. Bliss had to pop that Zonia's early. Nice ult from Peekaboo, saving some people right there. Kube trying to do what he can, but with that tanky build, the damage is just not there. And SK Telecom, they lose their jungler, but they win the team fight. We'll see what else they can
Marin
get here.
can time this so easily. Look at the
certainly
damage
can.
coming in off of Faker right now. Straight onto Fury, nearly kills him. And they'll be
That's a turret.
pushing this quite quickly. They're not going to stop at one either. Marin just has so much HP at the moment. Very dangerous. Fury still trying to heal up in the fountain. Another turret down, and oh, they're actually going to leave it.
Yeah.
Go for the dragon instead. So.
I think that's a smart thing to do, man. They can get their second dragon stack. You know, if you go all the way back, if you do anything else, you risk Samsung getting, I believe, their third.
Yeah, it would be the third dragon.
Yeah, you don't want to let them do that. Easy dragon for SKT, and easy life for SK Telecom as well at this point.
Quick clear with the True Shot Barrage, and now Samsung trying to set up around the Baron, but probably not going to be too successful. Bang actually with a QSS in this game. He's been getting jumped on by Kuve, and then the follow-up route as well.
Ults onto Marin. All right, well, they're going to try to 5v1 him. Marin, let's see how tanky you really are.
Really
He's going to come in. There's Peekaboo. Marin, twist advance, going so deep. Manages to dodge the box, so Kuve exhausted. They're going to pick him off, it looks like, and just let Marin do his thing.
Marin is 1v4.
Holy cow.
Yeah, they can't kill him now. It's
No,
over.
I guess not. Nice knockups onto Eve. Bliss manages to dodge out with the black shield. Whoop, that was immediately death for him, wasn't it?
Wow, Morgana killed during the ult
Guess so.
activation right there. She screamed and then just exploded.
I hate it when that happens. Us going to be an inhibitor, if not a couple kills. Faker flashes ahead from the Q, and there's the easy double. Faker's out for vengeance today. They really shook the pillars of heaven this game, didn't they, Monty?
They did, wow. Well, pretty convincing for SK Telecom in the end. A bit shaky early, but their late game team fighting. Marin again having a great game.
That's right. Well, there goes an Nexus and SK Telecom. Hey, what do you know? When the pick ban phase is pretty good and you're playing in Samsung, it's an easy win. GG. SKT takes game one.
Yeah. Faker 7-0-6 that game. Marin 5-1-9. Very impressive play from the two solo lanes. A bit bizarre and subpar jungling from Bengi early, but that wasn't enough to hold them back. Pretty dominant win in the end. Game ends in very short 32 minutes.
Oh, wow, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is that SK Telecom, they knew they had a comp where even if a couple people died here and there early on, it really didn't matter. You know, we saw a gold lead of a couple thousand for Samsung a lot of that game. And in the end, it didn't make a bit of difference. It's one of those few games where the gold lead doesn't really matter.
Well, it's also just the power spike for SK Telecom coming in after the tier and rod ramped up. And
well, that's why it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So,
well, we'll see if they put EasyHoon in for game 2, but I say play Faker, play to win. You know, and EasyHoon can win too, but still, you've got Faker, play Faker. This is our theme now. Use Faker.
He had a great time in that last game. It seems like every game we see him on Ezreal, he absolutely crushes the competition.
Yeah. Hey, what do you know? Certainly better than that blind pick Xerath, right?
Got to head it to Marin though, bouncing back after that unfortunate first blood.
Yep. That was his only death.
The level 2 gank from Eve, and I really like the way he played out the lane after that, just standing right in his own minion line anytime Rengar tried to come in, just hitting him with that arcane smash.
Yep, that's right. The itemization path was very good as well.